Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And well, Nintendo just dropped a massive, huge update for the Nintendo Switch, and this one has fans very excited, and well, they should be. I'm actually really excited about this myself. They did add a new feature to that Switch that fans have been requesting for years and years now, and well, it finally is happening, so we will talk about that today. And also, will an unreleased PlayStation 5 game be heading over to the PC? Because right now, it is looking like that might actually be the case after all. And this would be quite a shift for PlayStation if this does indeed happen. So we're going to go over that one as well. As usual, though, make sure to hit that bell notification and subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can keep up to date with all of the gaming news throughout the industry. With that in mind, though, let's just go and jump right into the video, starting off with Eastward. Now, Eastward has been this independent game that I know a lot of you all have been excited for earlier this month. A lot of you all did vote for this being your most anticipated September game in the comments below. And, well, there is a good reason for that. This game looks absolutely stunning, and it has some of the better pixel art that I've seen in video games. I think from the very first trailer that you kind of see of this game, you just kind of get drawn into the world itself, and it immediately just grabs your attention. But you know, the thing about that is we do see a lot of these really good artistic looking independent games, but they don't always turn out well. So the big question when it comes to Eastward is whether or not that hype is merited or not. And well, I'm happy to say that Eastward Reviews are starting to roll out now, and it currently has an 85 overall score on Metacritic. I have seen certain outlets just absolutely praise this game. I actually checked out a Switch Up review last night. They do a fantastic job with their reviews, and they seem to absolutely adore this game. I mean, it sounds like it's got good gameplay, well-made characters, a very good story, and just an overall immersive world. So it really sounds like Eastward might be the whole package, and I would recommend checking out their review if you are interested in this game. But yeah, something else that we're seeing when it comes to Eastward is it's also tracking very well in the Nintendo eShop. I believe it was the #7 best-selling game earlier today, and this is just pre-orders. This game's not even officially out yet, so that is very impressive all on its own. I think from everything that we're seeing right now, Eastward very well might end up being the next big indie darling. Now, if you are interested in this game, it will release tomorrow on September 16th for the Nintendo Switch and PC. Next up, though, we're going to be talking about a potentially really big delay that could be announced in the next couple of days. Now, this is coming from the insider Tom Henderson, which actually has a pretty good track record, so there is a reason to believe that what he's saying could possibly be true. But with that in mind, anytime we talk about rumors on this channel, always keep in mind to take it with a grain of salt. It may happen or it may not. But yes, Tom Henderson did come out on Twitter saying this: Battlefield 2042 delay update. To be delayed by several weeks and not months, which conflicts with the other rumors. But it's what I've heard. Late November 2021 is currently flying around. Beta doesn't seem to be delayed thus far. September 22nd is still the date. It also seems like all of this is an unfolding thing right now internally, but we will definitely hear what's up by the end of the week. Dates are horrible to tweet about because they can change so easily, but this is what I've heard. So if this does turn out to be true, there you have it. The next big delay could possibly be Battlefield 2042, though this doesn't sound like it's going to be major or anything. Currently, Battlefield 2042 is slated for an October 22nd release, which I think is actually a very good time to release that game, which I'll get into here in just a moment. But if this delay does indeed happen, which it sounds like we could get an announcement possibly by the end of this week, then it would more than likely be pushed back to November. And that's actually a pretty rough delay. Now, I've said over and over again on this channel, I'm completely okay when a game gets delayed. If the game really does need to get a delay, then you might as well just go ahead and do it, because I'd rather a complete game than a buggy mess at launch. So if Battlefield 2042 does need a little bit of extra time, then yeah, go ahead and delay the game. This is really only going to lead to a better end result, so I'm all for that. At the same time, though, if Battlefield 2042 does get pushed to November, let's just hypothetically say it's November, then I actually feel that's a worse release date for Battlefield. And the reason I say that is because previously, or as it stands right now, Battlefield is set for October 22nd. Then in November, you have Call of Duty Vanguard, and in December, you have Halo Infinite. That's 3 very popular first-person shooters with good multiplayer portions. These games are going to be in somewhat competition with one another, and that's why having them spaced apart is a really good thing. So that's kind of where a delay like this could affect Battlefield, and for that matter, Call of Duty. Nonetheless, though, all of this is just a rumor for the time being, and well, if it does end up happening, then like I said before, this is really only going to lead to a higher quality game when it does eventually release. Let's go ahead and talk about Nintendo, though, because they just pushed out a major Nintendo Switch update that fans are just going crazy about right now. And that's because they finally added a feature in that fans have been requesting for years and years, being Bluetooth audio support. Yeah, they finally added it. Now, you got to remember, the Nintendo Switch has been available since 2017, and one feature that has always been just baffling on why this wasn't here just right out of the gate was Bluetooth audio support. I mean, this is a hybrid handheld device, so you would think it would make sense to include Bluetooth audio right out of the gate, but for whatever reason, Nintendo has yet to do that, or at least until now. What I think is so crazy about this, though, is the fact that this is 4 years after the Nintendo Switch released, and now knowing that all they had to do was just simply update the console, that means that the Nintendo Switch technically always had the capability to support Bluetooth audio. This just makes the decision to not include Bluetooth audio right out of the gate even more baffling to me. But hey, I guess it's better late than never. I know I'm personally very happy with this update. One of my only real complaints when it comes to the Switch is that I'm not necessarily in love with the audio in handheld mode. In fact, I actually bought a third-party Bluetooth adapter years ago just to sync up my Bluetooth headphones. So, I mean, that's always been an option to just buy these Bluetooth adapters, which, you know, I feel sorry for the companies that are trying to push those out now. And, you know, I'm sorry for all the people that actually bought these adapters, including myself. But yeah, we can finally just sync up our headphones without the need for that adapter. Now, with that in mind, there are some limitations when it comes to this feature, and that includes Bluetooth microphones are not supported. Also, Bluetooth audio cannot be used while local wireless communication is active. So there are some limitations here, though I don't think it's really anything too major. I can't even really think of a lot of Nintendo games that even supports microphones. But, you know, the fact that Nintendo Switch has finally added Bluetooth support for audio in the first place, that alone is just fantastic news. Now, I do find the timing of all this to be very interesting, though, because with that Switch OLED model right around the corner, I mean, that's coming out in less than a month. One of the selling points for that is better audio just in general, and I'm really hoping that it does, because if I don't have to sync up headphones at all, that would be even better. But nonetheless, that is one of the selling points of that console, so I do find the timing of all this to be a little bit interesting. This 13.00 update does have some other things included, though, including an update for the dock, OLED model systems allowing for software updates to Nintendo Switch docks with a LAN port. Then you also have a maintain internet connection and sleep mode update, which this is quietly a very good quality of life feature here. What this allows you to do is that if you have it enabled, this will allow for software and add-on content to download to the system while the system is in sleep mode. So that's actually a very welcome inclusion right there. And then last but not least, you have the method to initiate, calibrate control sticks and system settings was changed. Now, it's a little hard to say what exactly that's going to do just yet. I'm going to have to test it out myself. But with Joy-Con drift, I think that a lot of people are going to immediately kind of think about that here. And maybe Nintendo can do something to alleviate some of that stick drift in their Joy-Con controllers. Maybe they add something like Dead Zone per se that could possibly make this stick drift a little less of an issue if you can add in some dead zones to those Joy-Con sticks. This really is a big update, though, and some very welcome inclusions here, especially with that Bluetooth audio support. It's still funny to me the fact that Nintendo was always able to do this and they just didn't do it. Who knows why? But, you know, again, better late than never. Next up, we got some interesting things happening with PlayStation, and we did actually talk a little bit about this earlier this week, but there was a major NVIDIA GeForce leak that made its way online. Now, this is a data mine leak that apparently has uncovered a ton of games that may be coming to PC at some point. It still remains to be seen which games are completely accurate and which ones are not, but, I mean, this leak this is one of the biggest leaks I've seen, just period. I mean, if you go down the list of all the games listed here on NVIDIA GeForce, I mean, you got some major games from all kinds of different publishers. I mean, you got Xbox games, you got PlayStation games, you got Square Enix games. I mean, Final Fantasy IX Remake is on this list, you got a Chrono Cross remaster, you got Gear 6, Kingdom Hearts 4, and the list just kind of goes on and on. There are a ton of games, and I mean a ton of games on this list. It is absolutely massive. Well, the thing about this leak, though, is that there was some questions about how authentic this leak was. And, well, the thing about that is that NVIDIA is now confirming that this is indeed a real thing. NVIDIA did come out and respond by saying, NVIDIA is aware of an unauthorized published game list with both released and or speculative titles used only for internal tracking and testing. Inclusion on the list is neither confirmation nor an announcement of any game. NVIDIA took immediate action to remove access to the list. No confidential game builds or personal information were exposed. Now, this is an interesting statement, and it really just seems like NVIDIA is kind of covering themselves, because it already sounds like a lot of this list is actually legit, and I really don't know why any employee would just come out and list a bunch of quote-unquote speculative titles. It just doesn't really make any sense. More than likely, a large portion of these games were at least considered at one point in time or another. Does that mean that all of these games will necessarily release? No, that's not what it means either. I mean, I would love that to be the case for some of these games, such as Final Fantasy IX Remake. That was listed here. I would love that to be a thing, but it's very possible that maybe Square Enix just considered it one point in time and then decided to back off. They are doing a Final Fantasy IX animation, so they could have taken that direction instead of a remake, as much as I would, again, hope that that's a real thing, but we'll kind of see on that. Some of the games, though, that are getting a lot of attention here, though, are some of these upcoming PlayStation games. I mean, God of War, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West, Sackboy, among others, are on this list. And some of these are PlayStation 5 exclusives. What we know is that PlayStation is taking PC gaming serious. They have released some PlayStation 4 games on the PC in the past, and they continue to do that. They just announced Uncharted for PC. They also recently acquired Nixxes, which is a PC porting studio. So we know that they're going to continue to bring PlayStation games over to PC. That's not really a big surprise. But bringing unreleased PlayStation 5 games over to PC, that would be quite a large shift in what we've seen them do so far with just bringing over these older PlayStation 4 games. So that's one of the really big questions when it comes to this list. And interestingly enough, Dictator from Digital Foundry over on Resetera had this to say. Just going to say that there are titles here which I can secondhand say, yeah, that is coming. This list looks rather legit, in my opinion. So he's kind of already confirming that he does know some games on this list that are coming. And then things get a little bit more interesting because somebody over on Resetera had this to say. I doubt Sony is in conversation with NVIDIA formally about, say, Horizon Forbidden West. It is at least 2 years away from hitting PC. And Dictator did respond saying, well, about that. Now, he's not necessarily confirming anything, but he's definitely adding fuel to the fire that Horizon Forbidden West might actually be in discussion to head over to PC. As to how soon, that's a big question, but the response here was at least 2 years, and he seems to disagree with that. So, I mean, we might actually see Horizon Forbidden West head over to PC much sooner than what fans realize. With all that said, keep in mind that all of this is just a rumor for the time being, but Digital Foundry, that's a respected outlet, and Dictator's well respected himself, so I don't think that he would just come out and flat out lie about something like this. It sounds like he's heard something about Horizon Forbidden West coming over to PC, so I guess we'll just kind of see what happens, but if this does indeed turn out to be true, then some of these other PlayStation 5 games that were listed here might actually be heading over to PC. That includes games like Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, Demon's Souls, God of War, and I mean, some of those are exclusive PlayStation 5 games. This would be a major shift in how they operate. Next up, I got a small but very welcome update to share on Sonic Colors Ultimate. Sonic Colors Ultimate, of course, released earlier this month, but unfortunately, it was well publicized that this game was hit with several glitches and issues. Some of which was pretty bad too, including some seizure-inducing glitches. So, you know, that's stuff that you're not going to want into your final release, obviously. But since then, Sega has been working hard to fix an otherwise pretty good game. You know, the game itself is not necessarily bad, it's just it's got some issues that they need to fix right now, and luckily they do seem to be doing that. Sega did post this over on Twitter. Hi everyone, we have deployed a patch for the Nintendo Switch for Sonic Colors Ultimate. This is the first of several patches for all platforms that will begin rolling out in the near future. Thank you for your patience. So that's already good news, and from the sounds of it, we are getting reports that that seizure-inducing issue has been fixed. So if you were worried about playing this game before, it seems like you might have less of a concern now, but unfortunately, I mean, there's still plenty of glitches and bugs in this game. They do say that they have several issues to push out, so this isn't going to completely rectify every single issue that's in Sonic Colors Ultimate, but it's one step closer to being a better game. On to the poll of the day, though. Last week, that PlayStation Showcase did take place, and I mean, there was a lot of really big games announced or revealed at that showcase. So I wanted to ask you all, what game revealed from that PlayStation Showcase are you most hyped for? And when I looked at the results here, I was actually a little surprised on this one. Maybe not necessarily with the leader being God of War Ragnarok with 35%, but interestingly enough, Spider-Man 2 actually came in fourth with only 13%. That one is a little surprising to me, just considering the popularity of the Spider-Man franchise and just how popular that first Spider-Man game was that PlayStation and Insomniac made. So a little surprised there, but yes, God of War Ragnarok took first place, and then Wolverine took second place with 23%, and third place closely behind being Knights of the Old Republic remake at 22%. So this was actually a pretty close competition there between the two. But yeah, I do agree here. I absolutely love the God of War reboot, and I do believe it's one of the most perfect single-player experiences to be had. I think it has excellent gameplay, I love the story, the characters are well done, and the fact that I even care about Kratos now is still just amazing to me, considering I didn't really care for him all that much in that original trilogy. But yeah, I'm on board with God of War Ragnarok. I keep saying the graphics itself hasn't necessarily wowed me per se, considering this is supposed to be a PlayStation 5 game. It looks very similar to the first God of War game, but in terms of gameplay, its story, and I still do believe God of War. I mean, it looks good all these years later, so I'm not like majorly disappointed or anything like that. But yes, I'm really excited for God of War Ragnarok, and I expect this to be a great overall game. Hopefully we get a release date for it here sometime soon. As for Wolverine, though, I'm not necessarily a big X-Men fan or anything like that, but to see that so many people are excited for that game, even though we don't really have much information on it, it just kind of shows you how good of a job PlayStation has been doing picking up these big name franchises. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.